When is the best time to spay or neuter your pet? I'm Wendy Jackson, and that's what we're talking about next time on Best Friends on Four Legs. Welcome to our show, Best Friends on Four Legs. My name is Wendy Jackson, and I'm the Community Information Specialist here at the City of Deltona. And today I have a guest with me once again, Mr. Tyler Stover, who's the Community Outreach Director for the Halifax Humane Society. Hi, Tyler.
Hello.
Just a little bit of background about Halifax. They are the Humane Society that takes care of all of our animals when they are collected by animal control officers or code enforcement officers here in the city of Deltona. They go to Halifax for intake and hopefully so that their owners can be located or that they can be adopted out if their owners aren't located. And Tyler's here today to talk about an important topic with us, pediatric spaying and neutering. And when is it too early to have your pet spayed or neutered? And a little bit about why we're talking about this, Tyler, is because Halifax recently received a grant for a program, right?
That's correct. We received a grant from PETSMART Charities to use at our Redinger Spay-Neuter Clinic, and it's called Precious Not Parents. And this is the third year we've received this grant, and it offers us the opportunity to provide $20 spay-neuter surgeries to puppies and kittens up to 6 months.
So that's what we mean when we say pediatric. It's within a certain age frame?
Yes, it's much like a child. It's your puppies and kittens, and they can be spayed and neutered starting at 2 months, and the grant covers them up to 6 months.
Why is it so important to have them spayed or neutered at such a young age? Why would somebody give you money to make sure that it's done before a certain age?
The reason for that, it's always been commonly accepted that 6 months is the time to spay or neuter your puppy or your kitten. But what we've found over the years is that our animals can actually become pregnant before that, as early as 4 or 5 months. So by waiting, in many cases, it was too late. The animal had already had a litter and contributed to overpopulation. By spaying and neutering at 2 months, we can avoid that issue, and we have found that as long as the puppy or kitten is at least 2 months old and 2 pounds, it's perfectly safe to have them spayed or neutered.
And you do have an educational component to this program because it's still somewhat controversial, or people aren't up to date on what the current, standards for care are.
Of course, it's one of those long-held beliefs that people probably heard decades ago, several years ago, and at that time that was the accepted time frame, as you waited 6 months. But as technology has advanced and we've learned more, we now know that it is perfectly safe to have an animal sterilized earlier.
And is it more about the weight than the age, or does weight play into it at all? Or you're looking for it has to be a certain weight before it's acceptable?
It has to be both, just for the animal's safety. If they're too small or too young, you could be putting them at risk. So we always want them to be at least 2 months and 2 pounds to make sure we can perform this surgery without any complications.
So the old standard of, well, my kitten has to go into heat first, or it's better to have a litter before, that's kind of old school, and we don't think that way anymore.
Right. We definitely don't want to wait, especially for a litter. If we've waited for our pets to each have a litter, we will have massive overpopulation issues, even more so than now. There are no benefits from waiting to have a first heat or a first litter. In some cases, it can actually be worse for the pet. And there's benefits to be gained from spaying and neutering before that first heat or that first litter, whether they're health benefits, behavioral benefits, all kinds of different things that come into play.
So I guess like historically this was something that was only practiced at the shelter, and it wasn't something that homeowners or pet owners practiced in the general public. It was just okay at the shelter, but I don't want my pet to have to go through that.
Sure. We've been going by this at the shelter for many years, where as soon as an animal is about 8 weeks, 2 months old, as long as they meet that 2-pound requirement, we can spay and neuter them, and that helps them go into adoption earlier. We don't have to wait until they're 6 months old to adopt them out to a new family.
So how long have you been adhering to those sort of policies, like at Halifax or other?
We've been doing that for several years at Halifax Humane Society. It's always been available to the public, just the knowledge wasn't really out there, and the Precious Knot Parents aims to get that information out to the public, that it is safe for their pets. It's not just something that's done at shelters. It should be done for their own pets at home too, if they're not already spayed and neutered when they adopted.
And you've not seen any negative health issues for the animals because of the early?
No, between our own clinic at Halifax Humane Society, where we're performing sterilizations on our shelter animals, and the Redinger Clinic, where we're working with public animals, we've performed thousands of these surgeries of animals between 2 and 6 months old, with no difference in any kind of rate of complications, anything.
In fact, there's some studies that say there's a benefit to spaying before the first heat. Is that correct?
Yes. In some cases, you can actually eliminate or at least severely reduce the risk of certain cancers.
Right.
You can avoid behavioral issues before they even start. With a lot of our animals, I believe it's about 80 to 90% of animals that enter shelters they are unneutered or unspayed. And the reason for that is because when an animal hasn't been sterilized, they're much more likely to roam, to flee their area, chase after other animals, and then they end up being picked up by animal control.
Definitely
they're lost,
experienced that here.
and they end up at a shelter. When they're spayed and neutered, they're more likely to have better behavior, stay in their area, and you don't lose your animal.
How is it? What kind of things do I need to do to prepare my pediatric pet for this kind of surgery? I mean, if there's anesthesia, I can't feed them. What should I think about?
Right. All of this information is provided by the Redinger Clinic when you set an appointment, but it's generally the same as any type of surgery. You don't want to feed your pet up to about a day before their surgery. You don't want them to have fluids starting up to about midnight of the night before their surgery, just to avoid any illness with the anesthesia and the surgery. You don't want your animal to have complications because of that.
It is easier, I've heard, like when they are young, for them to like come out of the anesthesia. Is that true?
There's usually a little shorter recovery period. With the pet being younger, they bounce back from it very quickly. It's a very short recovery period for any animal, but you definitely see that with your puppies and kittens.
I was going to ask you, how long is the procedure? And
the procedure is very quick. When you bring an animal to the Redinger Clinic, you'll drop them off in the morning. We'll have them there. We are doing surgeries over the course of the day. That's all we do at the Redinger Clinic. It's all spay and neuter. So we will do up to about 30 or 40 surgeries each day. When the animals are done, they're being cared for by our staff, and then you can pick them up in the afternoon. They'll usually need anywhere from about 2 days up to maybe a week to fully recover, but usually within about a day, they're back to normal for the most part.
It's okay to feed them when you get them back? And
yes.
Okay. Is there ever any evidence to suggest that neutered or spayed animals have weight issues? I've heard that, and I don't want to have my cat spayed because then she'll be fat, and
Sure.
Talk a
We
little
hear that commonly, and You may see some slight changes immediately after the surgery. Their energy level will be a little lower, they're more relaxed. But if you keep your animal on a pretty standard routine as you would otherwise, getting them exercise, playing with them, taking your dog for a walk, any minor weight gain will be erased pretty quickly.
That's good to know. There was a concern that I guess pediatric spaying and neutering might hinder growth. Has there been any evidence to show that?
There's no evidence of that.
Are there any negative effects to like doing it so early?
Not that we've seen. This is very important for us and in the whole community. If we're going to control our pet population, we need to spay and neuter all pets, and we can't wait until it's too late. For every litter we have, even if you think, oh, it's 6 beautiful kittens, and they go into the shelter, they will be adopted, but that's 6 more animals in a shelter, and that's 6 other animals that now have a more difficult time finding homes.
And you touched a little bit about this, but especially for males, the chance of them wandering is less after the procedure?
Absolutely. We see very few cases of sterilized males or any animal wandering away from home. But when they're unsterilized, that's a very common thing. They'll be out looking for their partner, basically.
Right. So if I'm interested in having my pet sent to Redinger, what's the best way to go about doing it?
To have a pet spayed or neutered at Redinger Clinic, you just contact us there. The number is 386-310-4935. And we're always booking appointments for all animals, whether they're part of this grant or not. We'll get them in as soon as we can. You can also find out more about the clinic at redingerclinic.org.
And what can I expect to pay, Tyler, like whether it's covered in the grant or not?
If it's part of the grant, it would be $20. That's a flat rate. If you wanted to add vaccinations at the time of surgery, that's a minor fee on top of that. But otherwise, the rates are very affordable. It's dependent on the species, the gender, and in the case of dogs, their weight. But that can range from anywhere from about $25 up to $80.
So Tyler, tell me a little bit about the Redinger Clinic.
Yes, the Redinger Clinic is specifically for spay and neuter. It actually just celebrated its 3rd anniversary. It opened in April of 2012. And we worked with a group called Humane Alliance that is starting to create these spay-neuter clinics around the country. And by focusing only on spay-neuter, we're able to provide that at an affordable rate and do as many as 30 to 40 surgeries every day.
Wow.
The Redinger Clinic has made a huge impact on the welfare of animals in our community. We have more than doubled the amount of surgeries we can do each year between our shelter and the clinic. And we estimate that as many as 350 cats and 300 dogs fewer are entering shelters each month because of the work of the clinic and the amount of sterilization surgeries that are being done. So it's a really cool project to see the difference it's making already. Just in 3 years, usually it takes at least 3 to 5 years to start to see the impact of spay-neuter surgeries, but we're already starting to see intake go down throughout our community just from the high number of animals now being spayed and neutered.
So what can somebody expect when they walk into the clinic?
It's a very simple process. All they need to do is just bring their pet in. You have to make an appointment first, but drop their pet off. They're spayed and neutered, taken care of, and then come and pick them up at the end of the day.
Awesome.
And having this spay-neuter clinic has made a huge difference for our organization and the community, because having a clinic that only works on spay-neuter makes us eligible for many grants, like the current grant we're working on with Precious Not Parents, and other grants where we've been able to work with pit bulls or female cats, certain groups of pets that are in the greatest need of these discounted surgeries. Another one of the grants we have coming up at the Redinger Spay-Neuter Clinic is called Primp Your Pit, and that one will be available in August, and it is for all pit bulls and pit mixed dogs. Again, this is one of our target groups that you'll see a lot of entering shelters. They have a more difficult time finding homes. They're one of the more overpopulated groups of animals. So that offers them a great opportunity. And for pit bulls, usually a larger dog, a $20 spay-neuter surgery is an absolute bargain.
So how do people get involved if they want to get their pit bull taken care of?
The best way to keep up with these events, they're always announced on our Facebook page and on our website, halifaxhumanesociety.org. And you can always give us a call at the Redinger Clinic, 310-4935, and get the info about any upcoming specials.
And you guys just came off of finishing your big fundraiser for the year, the Mud Strut, and we hear that it was really successful. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how you did?
Absolutely. The Mutt Strut was fantastic this year. It was our best yet. This was our 5th annual event and our 4th on the beach. And this year we had as many as about 12 to 1,300 people out on the beach, most of them with at least one dog, some with an entire wagon full. We had a great day out there. The weather cooperated with us, and it was just a blast for everyone on the beach.
So how much did you raise this year?
This year we raised about $50,000, which was amazing.
Is that a record?
That is a record.
Good.
We thank everyone that was involved with the fundraiser this year for helping us get the word out and really supporting the animals of our community.
So what else do you have going on at Halifax right now?
We at Halifax Humane Society, we're always trying to help not just our animals at the shelter, but all of the animals in our community. And a big part of that is that we want the greater Daytona, Deltona area to be a pet-friendly community. We want this to be a place where pets are celebrated, and you don't have to always make the choice, do I go out or do I stay home with my pet? We're trying to make events where you can do both. And the Happy Hour is a perfect example of that. We go to a different bar, restaurant, business each month. Historically, they're usually in the Daytona area, but we are starting to move over to West Volusia as well. And you can bring your dog. It's your standard happy hour get-together, except dogs are welcome, and they can be a part of the fun. We've had as many as 80 to over 100 people at some of these events. And it's just a great time. It's $10 to go. You get a couple drink tickets. There's usually some kind of food, some light appetizers, raffle items up for grabs. And everyone just hangs out, has a good time, shares pictures of their dogs. They get to play. And it's fun for everyone, and you don't have to leave the dog at home. You can have a good time together. We're always out there. We have events all summer. Any community events here in Deltona, Daytona Beach, we try to be at as many as we can. We partner with the Daytona Tortugas this year. We'll have a few dog day events where we'll have our pets out there, and the public's welcome to bring their dogs to the game, which is always a fun time. And this year, for the 3rd time, we'll be offering a summer camp to kids here in the community.
I was going to ask you, I saw something about that PAWS.
It's called the Halifax Humane Society PAWS Camp, and that stands for PAWS of Animal, or PALS of Animal Welfare and Sheltering. And it's an educational summer camp for kids. This year it's open to children 8 to 11. And we're going to have 6 weeks of camp this year. We've expanded. Last year we did 4. There's been such an overwhelming response to this camp. The kids love it.
So what do they learn at camp?
All about animals. We teach them about the animals we have at our shelter, which is mostly cats and dogs, but we will have bunnies, birds.
You have birds right now.
Yep, we have many cockatiels right now.
I saw that on your website.
Sometimes we'll have reptiles. You really never know what we'll have, but they learn about all the animals at our shelter and from our experts on staff, but then we also have leaders of other groups come in. We've had a bird rescue expert come in with exotic birds. We've had a reptile expert come in. And then there's a field trip to the Marine Science Center in Ponce Inlet, so they'll get to see some of the marine wildlife out there.
So if your children have been begging you for a puppy or something, this is like a good chance for them to learn about the responsibility of pet ownership.
Absolutely. They learn how to be responsible with pets, how to be safe around pets, how to handle animals, and then they're creating craft items, fun things that will help our animals at the shelter.
So are they there all day, or is it just in the morning? Or
It's a day camp. It goes from 9 to 3 each day.
and what age group are you?
This year it'll be for ages 8 to 11. One of our other fun fundraising events we have coming up is later in the year in October during Biketoberfest. We offer the Rough Ride, and we do 2 of these each year during Bike Week and Biketoberfest. This one, unfortunately, is not pet friendly. We can't have dogs riding on motorcycles for safety reasons, but it's a really fun event. They get to ride all through the Deltona area, make a few stops at some of our favorite biker bars, and then end up at the Iron Horse Saloon for music, food, prizes, all kinds of good things. So we always get a great turnout from our bikers, and it's a great way to support the animals of our community.
Good. And you're also offering a new dog obedience class this summer. Is that true? Or are you still trying to fill?
We do. We've actually had this for a couple years now. We brought in a certified professional dog trainer to our staff, and she offers dog obedience training in a couple different formats. We have weekly classes on each Saturday. It's a 4-session course where you'll bring your dog in a group setting. There's usually about 6 to 8 other dogs, and she will work with the dogs individually and as a group, and it helps them learn not only obedience commands but socialization with other dogs and other humans.
So what's the cost for that?
That is $35 for our HHS alumni, so to speak, or $45 for any other dog.
And they need to register by calling, or
they can call us at the shelter 274-4703. And we also offer one-on-one private lessons if you feel more comfortable in
if
that
you're in
setting,
real trouble,
or if you have a troublemaker that you're not sure will fit well in a group setting. We can go and have a one-on-one setting, whether it's at your house, at the shelter, at a park in the area, and our trainer will work with you one-on-one for about an hour and a half. And those lessons start at $60.
Wow. Well, it's nice to hear everything that you're doing, Tyler, and please let us know like how Deltona can get involved in some of your programs. And we appreciate you coming to talk about this program for pediatric spaying and neutering, and we hope that we can send some business your way.
Yeah, we're very excited about it, and this is a great grant. And to keep up with any information, whether it's our grants, our adoption specials, anything going on at Halifax Humane Society, you can always go to our website, halifaxhumanesociety.org, or follow us on Facebook.
Great. Thanks for joining us, Tyler. And that wraps up another edition of Best Friends on Four Legs. I'm Wendy Jackson, and I hope that you'll join us again real soon.